Okay, so here we are. It doesn't seem it, but it's the next day, and this is all set up. Feels a little loose, honestly. I'm not going to get into it because it doesn't have to be that tight. So I can't feel like it's failed. All right, so there's that, and wax paper, a couple of little goobers. This is going to be my top, and I've got, at least for the moment, a center point. So I believe I'll be able to chuck this back up and trim this round, and then, at least for temporarily, get my external support. Anyway, I'll be able to set up my external support on this thing and hopefully be able to turn the inside of this thing into its final condition. That's my inside. It's looking pretty good, I guess. This is the bottom. And I guess, let's pull this apart, because the bottom, I've got the bottom assembly, I think, glued up. Let's take a look at that. Let me grab it. All right, here we are. This little mess is my bottom assembly. I put some pressure on these because I was hoping to flatten out any irregularities. That was the dream. Okay, and this is, whoa, wax paper doing its job. That's great. And wax paper, don't need that any longer. And so here we have this. Let me get these two clamps off. So I'm sure you're dying to hear the report on how things worked out with the wax in the center. I am sort of also. That's my center. We saw I goobered those in, and we got some ooze. We'll see how this goes. This is pretty well glued. This is pretty well the bottom. I think I'm going to use the same sand it technique on the bottom. And let's just try a little chisel action, because I can reach inside here with a chisel. And just little bits of glue just falling off, because the wax really worked. Now, some glue oozed from underneath the piece, so it's connected still to the glue underneath, but it's entered into that everything around me is waxed zone. And so by just dropping the chisel down, I'm scraping out all of these little gluey goobers. This is great. This is just great. It's my put wax on it technique really paid off. Got a bunch of pencil marks I'm going to look at for eternity, but no glue. I guess that's, one thing. Great. All right, let me take this over and sand it, and we'll take a look, see how we did. All right, so I ran the sander across the top of this thing, not very well, not very much, but just enough to get some of the glue off the top of the tape. Huh. It's funny, it looks like it's pulling the grain apart. Not sure what that really means. Just sort of funny to watch. Anyway, so I'm going to finish this up, take it over and do some sanding, get the last of the tape debris off, and hopefully the last of the epoxy that's squeezed out. And I think the next thing I want to do is start preparing a waste block to put on the back of this thing. This is all ultimately going to be finished material. So if I'm going to be driving screws into something, which I am, I'm going to want some sort of a throwaway material that I can cut off later. And just for the hell of it, let's take a look. Oh, got this patching that I did. That's where there was a knot. That'll sand right out if this is my final dimension. I don't really care. It's going to be great. All right, so we got that. And this. So this is ultimately the top. This is the bottom. That's going to go like that. Today's project, I would love it if I could get this far, is to get this glued to that and a waste block. Now, again, you know what's going to happen. This is going to go on the lathe, and I'm going to want to hollow this out, which means that I won't have a center point. This is all going to have to get supported from a faceplate. And I need to drive, you know, looking at the size of this thing, about 10 screws into the faceplate. So I'm thinking that this right here is going to be my screw-on faceplate. This little gem right here. My waste block. I'm thinking that this little gem right here is going to be my waste block that I screw my faceplate to. That should take care of that. Need to be circular, but I can take care of that. Hope this works. Anyway, let's go sand this up and make it clean enough to glue to. This joint I'm going to do with water-based glue, tight bond, because I don't want it to penetrate into this at all. But this is going to be clean. Let's do that. Let's clean it. Okay, so I've got a piece of waste material. I've got it sized. We've got four sides of this thing flattened. I think center's an issue. I need to be able to find the center again. So I'm trying to hedge my bets. So this is going to get attached to this. Like I say, I've got this side flattened and this side flattened. This right here lines up with those. I want this glued on with white glue because I want to be able to take it off without, you know, losing my shit, as they say. That's a lot of damn glue. I don't know why I do this to myself. That's a lot of glue. All right, and this is going to go on like that. Now I've got a couple of little brads, 3 to be exact, that I've driven in because I don't want to be wandering around looking for this thing. I don't want to be trying to line up this to that and this at the same time, nuts. So the at the same time part, right? So I'm going to try this and hook it down. And I've got 3 little brads that I'm going to tack in, and hopefully that will keep this from wandering. I mean, I can play with it, but once I get this glued and this thing turned around, I'm going to lose track. So let's get this right the first time. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work out, but if I can keep this in some sort of a regular alignment with the piece below it, it might pay off at some point. Don't know. Anyway, I'm going to tack these nails in. believe that these nails are heading into a spot that I'm going to cut off. Doesn't much matter. There. Now, all right, that's done. This reasonably well lined up. Now, you can see I was doing some layout, and I realized that isn't going to be worth buckets once I turn this around. So here we are. That's where this is going to go. You can see where I am. Now it's epoxy time. I've already mixed this up, which may have been a mistake, but I'm hoping not. Now, when I did the other part, I was very concerned about getting excessive amounts of glue on parts that we're going to show. And it's true, this is going to show also. This is the inside of the bottom. But here's the drill on this one. I am actually going to be inside this thing with a scraper. And so I'll be able to clean all of this mess up. Now what I have done, so I've put glue where my pencil lines are. I can still see them a little bit. Oy, oy, oy. All right, so now it's this thing. This is all end grain. So I'm going to put a goodly amount of glue on this. You watching this? There we go. Again, if things go right according to the plan, you know how that is. But if things go according to the plan, this cylinder right at the bottom where I'm goobering it will be 1/4 of an inch smaller in diameter and only 1/2 of an inch thick. So all of that right there isn't going to matter because it's going to be cut away. But let's get it all right now. If I just put glue precisely where it's going to be needed and then I squeeze, and it will have nothing to slow its migration. So let's keep this thing packed up. That's my dream. Now, probably to be the most fun to put that piece, the bottom, onto this thing upside down, but I won't be able to see my lines, so I can't do that. I really don't want to squeeze this that hard. This glue should work. All right, done with the glue. Slide this, I've got this business area right here. We're all good, right? We swing this up and over like that. That's going to be our next move. All right, here we go. Sort of want these ribs in the middle of one of those things. No one's going to ever measure, so it doesn't matter, just sort of. All right, that, boom, is there. And I am still going to put clamps on it, although I don't absolutely need to. I put this in the top to keep it from getting scarred. Get a couple of clamps on it. Gotten tall. Let's get a couple of longer clamps. It's always something. Come on. All right. I'm going to go for 4 lightly engaged clamps. So I may still want to shift this around. All right, that is that. I'm going to, like I said, play this back and forth a little bit, but that's pretty much it. While I'm right here, I'm going to throw a little bit of goobery glue on that, throw some tape on it. Again, I'm pretty sure I'm going to cut this away, but let's make sure that everything's as good can be. Glue. All right, another piece of tape. There. All right, so where are we now? I'm going to shift this. I believe I've gone too far that way. Wow, that's going to shift hard. Oh, that's not shifting at all. Come on. I'm going to get too personal with it. Okay, I'm going to have to tap it. I didn't see that coming. Tap the bottom. Hold on to the barrel. Got it. All right, that looks better. Get a measure and start measuring. I feel a little crippled in these gloves. That's dead on 1/2 inch. Seven sixteenths. 7/16. ½ inch. So I'm okay. And I'm okay, let's do that. Let's clamp that. All right, that's going to be it. That's everything. That's the whole ball game, which is terrific. Now what my dream is right now, that I'm going to set up the table saw and a skid and block up on my fence to a point like that and run this thing across using this as my offset to trim that, because you can't run the thing that you're trimming against the fence. But with this rubbing there, I'll be trimming this thing in line with a consistent spot from one side to the other, and then from that trimming on this block I'll be able to find center and get this thing to spin. That's my dream right now. Finding center on this block is my next big drill. I've got a great center on this one, just not this one. Anyway, this is glued. I got my waste block on, white glue. I got my finished block for the bottom, which is going to get cut into a little foot. This will be a bead, and then this will get cut into a little bit of a, like a base foot. All right, next time we see this, I'll be looking for a center, and then after that, I'll be turning it on the lathe and seeing how I did. Can't wait. Hope you're there. You can all watch. It'll be fun. And then, there's always an and then, right? And then I'll start worrying about what the top looks like. I think once I get this worked out, the shapes, I'll see the top. The top is, you know, going to have a shape, going to have a little spire. I think I've got some, don't want to get too busy. You know how they say in the printing business, you don't want to have too many fonts in a document. Sort of like that with the wood business. You don't want to use too many different kinds of wood. So to that end, I've got a block right here of the bloodwood that will easily make the center shaft. So I'm thinking that this is going to get turned into something round, and that a couple pieces of this stuff that I've got left over with some pieces of this shoved into the four corners will have the repeat of this four ribs, only smaller, swooping up to a centerpiece like that, and have this one left over so I can make a watch band out of it or something. Anyway, that's the dream right at the moment. That whole thing is a couple of days away, but if things go right, turn this tomorrow, fabricate the top the day after, turn that the day after that, you know, throw some finishes on. This could be ready to go out the door in a week. Should be fine. Catherine isn't in need of it yet. So I think I'll beat that. Good. All right. See you tomorrow when we undo this and see how effing wobbly this thing turned out, because I didn't think of something. It's always something. Anyway, thanks for watching.